Today we are talking about Brian Buffini's mid-year report. He does bold predictions twice a year, and this is his mid-year report. And I'm just going to do a copy of his video. I'm going to keep it rolling, but I'm going to stop it every now and then give you my reaction on what he is saying. And does it jive with what's happening in Orlando or not? So let's take a look at Brian Buffini's bold predictions.
The dollar value of goods produced, service provided, we're actually back up to 100%, but not the job market. We have 48 states with below job market condition compared to pre-pandemic. The exceptions are Utah and Idaho, which never really shut down. Their businesses were always open, but the job market is not yet back up, which means those people who are working, they're doing more work than before. Job openings, record high. There's help wanted sign everywhere. Yeah. So, we have an interesting dynamic situation, and of course, inflation is popping out.
Okay, right there, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to let you know that I agree with what he's saying 100%. You are seeing help wanted signs everywhere. So people are looking for jobs. People are posting jobs. So there's jobs available out there. Orlando, I'm seeing help wanted signs everywhere. So the economy is coming back very strong. And so I completely agree with what they're talking about at this moment. And then he's going to talk a little bit about the next big thing, which is inflation. So let's listen to what he says.
The highest in multiple years, the core inflation, something that the Federal Reserve monitors very closely, which exclude food and volatile energy prices. Now, as a consumer, I care about food prices, I care about gasoline prices, but evidently Federal Reserve are less concerned with that. So if you exclude that, core inflation is actually rising at the highest pace in 30 years. Wow. Can you imagine what we were doing in 30 years ago? So that's what...
So the highest inflation that we've seen in 30 years. I just had to stop and point that out because a lot of people, this whole inflation thing is creeping up on them. They hear about house prices going up, but I'm sure you have noticed prices of everything going up. And to recognize that the highest it's been in the past 30 years is pretty astonishing. So let's just see what next he talks about.
Yeah. And obviously that plays into real estate because as we've talked about for a long time, a fixed asset with a fixed payment is one of the greatest hedges against inflation. People are aware of that, and now that's why there's even more demand for real estate than ever before, and that's going to continue for a while, isn't it?
Oh yes, people renting, they can expect higher rent next year. Maybe.
So before he jumps into the renting, how powerful is that? We are seeing this played out in the real estate market right now, exactly what they're talking about. People want to buy a home because they want to be in a fixed asset before inflation gets completely out of control. And that is going to be the best hedge against inflation, to own real estate. So now let's just watch this next part because this is the golden nugget right here. 4%
increase, some hot market 7% increase, and then year after that another increase. But consider homeowner. They're fixed on their 30-year mortgage payment. So month after month, year after year, essentially the mortgage portion of the payment is fixed. So it's a great in terms of getting the finances, family finances under the budget. Yet the asset price, home prices are rising, which is an added bonus, gravy on the train that's rising, and is rising quite strongly at the moment.
I love how he says that's gravy on the train. So what he's talking about here is, with rent rising, expected to rise 4%, maybe even up to 7% in the next couple of years, that with having a fixed asset such as your home, you're going to be at least with your mortgage payment, that is one payment that's going to stay the same. With rent, expect rising prices in rent. That's just is what's going to happen. So you want to get locked in with a low interest rate mortgage, and that's just why the market is being fueled so strongly like it is. And like he said, the prices continue to rise, and that's the gravy on the train. I love that. That's so key to what's happening in the market right now, and that's why we're seeing what we're seeing. So let's just continue on.
You bet. Where do you think we're going to finish the year, Lawrence, as far as number of transactions? You're always pretty good at that. Where do you think we'll finish the year?
It's going to be the highest since 2006,
Wow.
6.1 million. Now, we are seeing some topping out in the home sales activity in recent months. That is to say, we are beginning to see sales approaching pre-pandemic levels. So we are not, we are past that surge, so we are beginning to approach. But we have to remember, we have 12 months of home sales in 2021, while back last year, we missed a couple of months.
I don't know if you picked up on that, but that was a really important point that he brought out, was that we're expecting over $6 million in homes sold. That's the highest number since 2006. So the market is booming, but it doesn't equal to the market is in a big bubble, because everything is different right now with the mortgage interest rates being so low and the demand being so high and the volume of homes on the market being so low. It just changes the dynamic of what's happening in the market. So that's kind of what we're talking about here, and that's what he's trying to point out, is that it's just a completely different market and we have to look at it completely differently. So let's see what else he says.
Right, right. And obviously we know there's inventory shortage. We know there's, I picked up a couple of pieces of lumber the other day, 2x4s, and I was paying $30 an hour to a guy to put them in, and two 2x4s cost $32. And I felt like, oh my gosh, that lumber is worth more than that man's time for an hour. And I was kind of sick about it. But we know there's some restrictions. I know some challenges with getting the inventories levels up and so on and so forth. Where do you think inventory levels are going to be here in the next 6 months or so?
It's going to be better. The absolute acute shortage of inventory, we are already past that.
Great.
And the way I see it is, first, we have more home building activity.
All right, so this is great news for everybody. Lawrence Yun is predicting that the acute levels of inventory shortage are done right now. So this is super important, and I just want to point that out. I have been saying this in my videos, that I believe that the acute shortage is over as well, and that we're going to start seeing more inventory coming up in the fall. And it looks like, this is what Lawrence Yun and Brian Buffini are also saying, that even though there's been shortages, the builders are starting to get caught up. More homes are coming on the market. It's going to get a little bit better. Does that mean that prices are going to dive or anything like that? Not so much. But it may just mean instead of 20 offers on a home, there's 5 or 6. So this is kind of what we're looking at right now in the market. So let's just check out one more thing that he has to say.
It's taking a little longer to complete because of the higher material costs, including the lumber prices. But given that the builders are eager to produce more, taking out more housing permits, but it's taking a little longer, but at least pipeline, it is there. And the second issue is that mortgage forbearance, where some homeowners who lost job, they were unable to pay mortgage. But now that program is essentially being phased out, and some, we hope they can find a job and become current, but some people will not become current and they have to sell their home. I do believe that it will not be a foreclosure sale because of strong price increases, but it's an added inventory to the market.
So again, this is really important information. Yes, mortgage forbearance is running out. And so there will be some people who were not able to find jobs and their homes are going to come back on the market. And that is, that's just is the way it's going to be. Fortunately, hopefully not as many people will have to sell their house for that particular reason. But the other part that they're talking about is, that the inventory shortage is going to get better, and that, there's going to be a little relief. There's going to be more of a pipeline of homes that are coming on the market. And just one more little part. I know I said it was the end, but here's one more little part I wanted to show you guys.
Right, and I'm going to address this later on when we're on the third part of our program here today, but the most asked question on Google by a factor of 2,450% on real estate is this a bubble? People are gun shy of what happened. You talk about 2006, the last time we had transactions above 6 million. And what I'm witnessing is realtors not being able to answer that question. And the realtors are kind of looking at their clients and they're going, is this a bubble? Maybe we could address that head on right now and why this is so different than what we experienced in 2007, 8, and 9.
So here's the money right here. What they're getting ready to say is all about answering the question that everyone is asking is this a bubble? Is there a bubble going on? So let's hear what they have to say.
Well, let's just look at the inventory. We just have about 1.2 million homes available for sale. Back when the home prices started to decline, there were 4 times as more homes listed on the market. So that's a major difference. And we don't anticipate inventory to pick up to such a magnitude in any time soon. So that's one big difference. The second critical difference is that we don't have those shady, risky mortgages. And hence, all the homeowners on their fixed mortgage payment, 30-year fixed rate, therefore, they are immune to any policy changes that may be pursued by the Federal Reserve. For home buyers, they are impacted, but not homeowners. So
So there you go. We have the biggest 2 differences that they pointed out that we have in the market right now is that back in 2006, we had 4 times the number of listings on the market. Right now in the United States, we have about 1.2 million homes for sale. So they had 5 times that much. They had about 5 to 6 million homes on the market. So basically what you can see is that, yes, there's way less inventory. So supply and demand, which I talk about all the time, there's low supply and high demand, you're going to have price increases. And then also there's no shady mortgages right now. There's not all those shady mortgages that were happening in 2006. So that's kind of what I wanted to get you the information. I love Brian Buffini and Lawrence Young. They are rock stars. They know this market backwards and forwards. They have great insight into the market. I just wanted to share that with you today. Let me know in the comments box below if you have any feedback for me on this video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye-bye now.